why a preacher can stand in the pulpit and tell people that you cannot trust the holiness of a poor man.
Never trust the holiness of a poor man.
He doesn't know God.
Listen, you can't carry girlfriend. The resources are not there.
The reason he can say such things and people in church will stand up and be shouting and say, wow, is because 90% of the people in the Christian faith don't know God.
You can't go to Dubai and buy a house and keep a woman. You don't have the money.
I'm not missing what he doesn't know God.
Anybody that has money and serve God is truly holy.
He thinks that the proof of his work with God is a material blessing.
Poverty is a sign of ungodliness. To be poor means there is sin in your life.
So if he has a car, if he has money, if he dresses well and eats good food, he uses that as a sign of a wonderful relationship with God. Meanwhile, in the realm of the spirit, he is not considered anything of value. He cannot be used to advance the purposes of God in the earth.
There are some of you, your holiness is poverty imposed. There's nothing you can do. It's poverty imposed. So you just keep quiet. You just, oh Lord, I love you. Everybody hear me. People don't know scriptures. For 30 pieces of silver, Judas sold Jesus. So, money problem led Christ to the cross. Poverty in the life of one of his disciples is the reason why they nailed him.
He doesn't know God. And I'm not missing what he doesn't know God. Because if he has heard God, he knows that that very statement that he made is anti the Bible. He doesn't know God. And the person who is saying these things, so by the time you check his own life, there was a time he was poor. There was a time he was poor. But the reason he can say such things and people in church will stand up and be shouting and say, wow, is because 90% of the people in the Christian faith don't know God. They talk about him, they sing his songs, but they don't know God. So you hear things like, how can a loving God send a sinner to hell? You don't know God. If you know him, you will know that his love and his justice are not at variance. His love and his justice are one and the same. It is because of his justice that he's loving, and it's because of his love that is justice.
Beginning, as you can see, the Igbo
We don't know God.
playing this.
So we don't know the commandments of God. We don't know the things that God is crazy about. We don't know what it is that God wants to do with a man's life. And I'm saying to you that that kind of individual might grow in church, but will never be handed anything serious on behalf of the kingdom.
But they forgot that
The men that God entrusts with kingdom assignment are men that do what? Seek the
is
Lord.
going
They
to
know
drag
God.
him
They have
out
found
because he
God.
stands for truth and he's a man of
Your
justice.
prize as a
So whether
Christian
you are
is not that you
Igbos,
can
you
travel
are-
abroad like
you
everybody.
are not.
Your prize as a Christian,
Just-
your
this is for
advantage as a
everybody.
believer is that access has been
God does
granted
not
you,
select.
and you
God
can
is a
know
God
the
of
God
all.
whom you call.
So when God wants
This
to
is
use
why
a man,
when Jesus died on the cross,
he
the first thing that
knows the kind
happened,
of
one of the
person
first
he
things that
wants
happened
to
is that the
use. That
veil
is
was
our
torn
function.
from
So
top to bottom.
the one that
You know what
you are
that was? It
saying,
was saying,
oh, he doesn't
access
like
what?
Igbo people.
Granted.
They are
Every
all
man will
want
now determine
life,
how far he
okay?
wants to journey
So
into
this
God.
is him, and that was really
Until
good.
the tearing of the veil,
Thanks, guys,
Jesus,
for
God,
watching.
determined
See you in
your
my next
travel.
video. I will be dropping the next
Until the
video
veil was
on
torn,
the reason why
God
he went
determined
to
every man's
Ivory Coast.
distance. So if you were not the high priest, you will never know the glory. Oh, you are not here. Only the high priest could come and tell us what the Shekinah looked like. Only he got to the mercy seat. Only he had the privilege to look upon the brightness of his light. Only he. All the ordinary Jews stopped at the outer court. They didn't even get into the inner court. They had no such privileges. They stopped at the outer court. But the high priest had the privilege to journey into the very belly of the spirit and have deep experiences with God. Paul said that he knew a man in the spirit, and that man that he knew, the things that he saw happen in the third heavens. He said in that place there were things that happened that men cannot utter. Men, there's no English language, no mortal communication that can utter the things that you see in that place.
Can you all see this? You know, the other pastor have said it all. These are people who, they don't know God. It's just obvious. This same person, his father said that Job was Job has that and went through what he went through because he didn't pay tithe. That is lie. Meanwhile, the Bible said that the prince of the world came to God, and God granted the prince of the world the permission to tempt Job because Job had everything. So without that access that God gave to the prince of the world would have crushed Job like that. So you need to look at that. God gave the prince of the world the opportunity to do that, and the prince of the world did. It's not because he did pay tithe, but someone who called himself bishop opened his mouth to say Job didn't pay tithe, that is why he was sick. Is that not wickedness? For you to lead the people of God astray, is that not foolishness? Now his son is saying that Jesus, died because of money. Is that not foolishness? Somebody that we all know that everything was created through him. Without him, there is nothing. He descended. He brought himself so low. The Bible says he became so poor in order for us to be rich. This is somebody that everything, including you, everything was created through him. Without him, there is nothing. Nothing is created without him. You say he's poor, that is why he died. You are a foolish man. Do you understand? Some of you who when you see the truth, you prefer to fight for your pastors because they are your pastors. You are not a genuine Christian either. You are not a born again either, because the Bible says, "In that knoweth the right thing to do and faileth to do it, the sin is upon him." So you that support your pastors that do rubbish like this, the sin also is upon you. You can imagine this. May God have mercy.